you've hired some of the world-renowned guest blog post people in the world. Um, it goes way back to like inventing the kind of game around guest blog posting. What do you think about that in today's world about using guest blog posts for links?
I don't believe in it. In fact, actually, I never have. Actually, blog posts in general. I tend not to trust bloggers most of the time.
You know, I'm a blogger.
Well, most of the time. Now, you're a real one. Like, if there's a blogger you've heard of, I trust them. It's the bloggers you've never heard of. Here's kind of the thing. A lot of people, they go to when they realize they need backlinks, they go to some company. And they're like, hey, we need some backlinks. And the other company is like, okay, sure. What kind of site are you? And they're like, all right, we're a finance site. And so the company is like, okay, great. We have, thousands of bloggers in our database, and 200 of them are finance bloggers. And you're like, oh, great, yeah, give me some of those finance blogger links. And so they're like, okay, we're going to write a guest blog post for each of the site. We're going to send it to each of the site. Within that guest blog post, there's going to be, a money link going to your money page. And at first glance, this sounds great. You're like, oh, finance bloggers, that's my market. That's who I want. Oh, and they're going to write a post about my company. Ooh, that's great. I'm going to get that money link going to my money page. This is great. And they get it, and it gets published, and like, oh, this is great. And they run to their boss. Look at this, finance blogger, link to us. And it's great. And they're like, yeah, it's great. Well, the problem is, remember how years ago there was all those made for AdSense sites? And it's kind of like now there's, instead of made for AdSense sites, there's made for giving guest blog post links sites now. They're kind of like the new made for AdSense sites. They're, and those, 200 finance bloggers, they're not really real. They have artificial links going to them. They're not writing stuff that's really getting citations. They're selling links to you. They're selling links to the payday loan guy that called right before you. They're selling links to the gambling site. They're selling links to the insurance. They're selling links to a whole bunch of SEOs that are doing a whole bunch of stuff that's artificial. And any one of those gets mapped out, and suddenly you're in that network. And it's like Google's like, wow, found this map of network. And not only is this site in it, but so is your site. It's like then you're caught up in that. So it's like, you play with SEOs in the field of buying links. Eventually, all of you guys in that little network are going to get hit. And, there's certainly exceptions. Like if you've heard of a blogger, okay, yeah, I know, I'm in X industry and I know Bob, and Bob's a blogger, and I'm going to be a guest post on Bob's blog. Great. No follow the link. If you're doing it for traffic, or exposure, hey, great. But how do I say? I'm pretty sure that Google has, and in my guess, I think Google has a couple of phrases that might cause links not to have any value on a page. For example, if a page has the word sponsor or sponsored on it, I wouldn't count the link. If a page has guest post on it, I wouldn't count the link. I think there's another one, scholarships. We used to go to years and years of conferences where for 10 or 15 years, someone would always get up on stage and be like, scholarship links. They're great. Look at what I got. And so many years of people doing it with so many people in the Google audience, I'm sure someone at one point, a Google employee in their little notebook said, don't pass page rank on pages that mention scholarship. SEOs are really abusing this. And it's like, for the last 2 years, I used to have these slides of scholarship links, and they'd be like, look at this payday loan scholarship. Look at this online gambling casino scholarship. Like, look how bad, look at these SEO scholarships. Like, it's gotten so bad that it's reached payday loans, gambling, and SEOs. It's been overdone. Guest blog post, I guess my first thought is that A, Google's going to filter it. B, I think that John Mueller has said a couple times that guest blog post is not a good thing to do, that Google is not a fan of guest blog post. Now certainly if I said, hey, Barry, I've heard of you, can I do a guest blog post on your site? And Barry says, yeah, sure, great. I don't think I would ever be penalized for that. I think Google would see the word guest blog post on the page and not count it. I don't think they would ever penalize me for it. But if I run out to I don't know, some broker out there, and I'm like, I'm an SEO. You got a bunch of SEO bloggers, and they're like, yeah, I got 200 of them. And I looked through the list, and I've never heard of any of them. And I went and got those blog posts. I know that if I've never heard of them, all their backlinks are artificial. Everyone they're linking out to is probably artificial. And if I say, yeah, I want to get in there too, that I'm going to get caught up in something that can be mapped, and I can get penalized. I guess blog post, a guest blog post, unless you've heard of them, unless you're doing it for traffic. If you're willing to no follow your link, I'd say great. Get a guest blog post. If you're like, I think this traffic and exposure is going to be great, and no follow the link. If you're doing it for link value and you're getting on a whole bunch of sites that are artificial, you're just going to get yourself hurt. I think Google has made it clear that they're not a fan of guest blog post. And that's not to say that 100% of them they're not a fan of. I think 99% of them they're not a fan of. And 1% of them are real. And that's not going to hurt you. But if Google sees that you've got hundreds of links from these guest bloggers and all their stuff is artificial and all their stuff can be mapped and are in these networks, you're going to get in trouble.
That's awesome. I remember Matt Cotts, even when he was at Google, he said, stick a fork in it. Guest blog posts are done for SEO purposes. And that's the point. Like, if you're doing guest blog posting for SEO purposes, don't. If you're doing it to get, attraction around your brand and so forth, because it's a great location to put your content, fine, go ahead and do it. But don't expect any SEO value from it